everyone, welcome back to our channel. You're watching the series in molecular biology, and in this video we are going to talk about nucleic acids. Previously we have been discussing the history of events and discovery of genetic material, and we talked about the Griffiths experiment on transforming principle. We talked about the biochemical characterization of transforming principle. We discussed how Hershey and Chase deciphered the genetic material. We also talked about the Chargaff's rules, and this time we need to discuss the structure of DNA proposed by Watson and Crick. But before we come to the structure of DNA, we should know what actually DNA is. So DNA is a nucleic acid, and we should have some knowledge of nucleic acids before we proceed with the structure of DNA. So here is the video on nucleic acids, and I hope you like it and it's informative for you. Introduction. The nucleic acids were first discovered by Friedrich Miescher from the nuclei of pus cells, that is leukocytes, from discarded surgical bandages, and was initially called nuclein. Nuclein was later shown to be a mixture of protein and phosphorus containing organic acid, and so they are now called as nucleic acids. There are two types of nucleic acids, ribonucleic acid RNA and deoxyribonucleic acid, that is DNA. We will discuss about the differences between RNA and DNA in detail when we are going to complete this video on nucleic acids, and after we complete the structure of DNA, we are going to see how RNA would have been as a genetic material and properties of RNA and DNA, and we'll come up to a conclusion of how we can distinguish RNA from DNA. So we'll be doing one specific portion of differences between RNA and DNA, including all the things we are going to study from now on. Structure of nucleic acids. In order to understand the structure of nucleic acids, it is important to have knowledge of some terms like nitrogenous bases, sugars, phosphate groups. So let's talk about nitrogenous bases at first. Nitrogen containing biological compounds are basically called nitrogenous bases, or in other language we can say a molecule that contains nitrogen and has the chemical properties of a base is basically a nitrogenous base. So these are heterocyclic, planar and relatively water-insoluble aromatic molecules. I will not go into the details of these words heterocyclic, planar, aromaticity, because these are all chemistry related terminologies, and I am sure that whoever is watching this video is aware of these terms because these words have been taught and explained well in high school as well as in undergrad. So nitrogenous bases are generally of two types. One is purines and the other ones are called pyrimidines. So purines and pyrimidines are the two types of nitrogenous bases, and we'll look into each of these individually. So let's talk about purines at first. Purine is a water-soluble heterocyclic aromatic organic compound that consists of two rings. Make sure I'm making emphasis on this term two rings, because if you have to distinguish purines from pyrimidines, one of the ways you can do it is by means of these rings which are present in their structure. So purines have two rings and pyrimidines have a single ring only, which distinguishes them from each other. So purines, there are two different nitrogenous bases with a purine ring composed of carbon and nitrogen, and are found in DNA and RNA. These are adenine, that is 6-aminopurine, its chemical name, and guanine, that is 6-oxy-2-aminopurine, which is its chemical name. So let's see the structure of a purine. This is the structure of a purine. We can see the two rings very clearly, and there we have done some numbering also here, 1, 2, 3, 4 till 9. This is the numbering of the carbon atoms. If you have studied chemistry, you will be aware of these structures and how we do the numbering. So the two purines we have to study is adenine and guanine, and we will see how these two are structurally different from each other. But you can see that the basic structure of adenine and guanine is actually same as that of the purine. So it's the basic structure remains the same, but there are only minute changes which make them structurally different and different compounds altogether. So adenine has an amino group on the C6 position of the ring. So the numbering will be with reference to the first structure at the top. So you can see that there is an amino group at the 6th position of adenine. While in guanine, it has an amino group on the C2 position of the ring and carbonyl group at C6 position of the ring. So amino group is at second position and carbonyl group is at the sixth position. So these are the differences or structural differences between adenine and guanine. Let's talk about pyrimidines now. So pyrimidine is a simple aromatic ring composed of 2 nitrogen atoms and 4 carbon atoms with hydrogen atoms attached to each carbon. So it is a simple aromatic ring. There is only one ring here. The carbon and nitrogen atoms are connected via alternating double and single bonds. This bond structure allows for resonance or aromaticity, causing the ring to be very stable. So resonance, aromaticity, again some chemistry related terms. I'm sure you must be familiar with them. 3 different nitrogenous bases with a pyrimidine ring are found in DNA and RNA. These are cytosine, which is also called 2-oxy-4-aminopyrimidine, found in both DNA and RNA. Then thymine, 5-methyl-2,4-dioxypyrimidine is the other name for thymine, and it is found only in DNA. And the last one is uracil, which is also called 2,4-dioxypyrimidine, found only in RNA in place of thymine. So thymine and uracil are present in DNA and RNA respectively in place of each other. So this is the structure of a pyrimidine. There is a single ring, as you can see, and the numbering has been done as well. Now these are the 3 types of pyrimidine: cytosine, uracil and thymine. So in cytosine you can see there is an amino group at C4 position. Refer to the numbering with respect to the structure of pyrimidine at the top. So C4 consists of an amino group, C2 position consists of a carbonyl group. Then in thymine there is a methyl group at C5 position, carbonyl groups at C2 and C4 positions. Uracil is similar to thymine, but it only that it lacks methyl group at the C5 position. So there is an absence of methyl group at the C5 position, which makes uracil different from thymine. So these are the structural differences between the 3 types of pyrimidines which are found in DNA and RNA. So let's come to sugars now. A 5-carbon sugar or a derivative of sugar is present in the nucleic acids. Naturally occurring nucleic acids have 2 types of pentose sugars. One is ribose sugar and the other one is a deoxyribose sugar. So ribose is found in RNA and deoxyribose is found in DNA, and so you should be clear, or you should relate the names with each other. RNA is ribonucleic acid, so ribose sugar is present, and DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, so deoxyribose sugar is present in its structure. So in ribose, 5-carbon monosaccharide with a hydroxyl group on each carbon. This is the structure of ribose basically. So here you can see that the numbering of this structure is slightly different, like they have used something else here. I'll come to this later, but you can see that this is a 5-carbon monosaccharide and it consists of hydroxyl group at each position and at each carbon, I would say. But if I talk about deoxyribose, it lacks 1 oxygen atom at the 2' position. So you can see it has been highlighted with pink and blue respectively. So pink OH is present in ribose, and in blue you can see O is absent. So that is making it deoxy. Deoxy means absence of oxygen at the 2' or the second position of this structure, and that is why it is called deoxyribose sugar. So the structural changes are very minute, only the absence of 1 oxygen makes it a different compound altogether. So yes, I was talking about the numbering here, so you need to note this, that the carbon atoms of ribose and deoxyribose are designated with prime mark. This is because we need to distinguish them from the backbone numbering in nitrogenous bases. So we just, in the previous slides, we saw the numbering of the nitrogenous bases. It's simple 1, 2 and 3, so on. But here we are using prime marks as well, because we don't want to confuse this numbering with that numbering, because DNA and RNA consist of both of these things, like a sugar also and a nitrogenous base also. So the numberings have to be different so that there isn't any confusion, right? So here we are using a prime mark to distinguish sugars with nitrogenous bases. Last, we need to talk about phosphate group here. So phosphate basically is a chemical formula, having chemical formula PO4 3- is a chemical compound which is made up of 1 phosphorus and 4 oxygen atoms. You can see this is the structure of phosphate. But when it is attached to a molecule containing carbon, it is called a phosphate group. So it is found in the genetic material DNA and RNA and is also in molecules such as adenosine triphosphate ATP that provides energy to cells. Now we need to talk about nucleosides and nucleotides. So nucleosides are the structural subunit of nucleic acids, consist of two components. One is sugars, we discussed deoxyribose and ribose, and the other one is nitrogenous bases, that is pyrimidines and purines. We discussed about them in the previous section. So sugar and nitrogenous bases join to form nucleosides. The bond between the sugar and the base is called N-glycosidic linkage. So you can see this is the sugar in the bottom and the nitrogenous base at the top right, and the linkage between them is actually called the N-glycosidic linkage. Next, we talk about nucleotides, and monomeric unit of nucleic acids are called nucleotides. So nucleotides are basically phosphate esters of nucleosides. So nucleosides plus phosphate group actually makes nucleotides. So these are made up of three components: nitrogenous bases, that is pyrimidines and purines, as was there in nucleosides; sugars, deoxyribose and ribose. So nitrogenous bases and sugars together make nucleosides, but now we add a phosphate group and it becomes a nucleotide. So this is just the difference between the two, nucleosides and tides. A nucleotide can also be referred to as nucleoside 5' phosphate because the phosphate group is attached at the 5' carbon of the sugar. This is very important. You should know this, that the nucleotide is also called as nucleoside 5' phosphate. Prime is there because we are referring to the numbering on the sugar, that is 5th carbon of the sugar. So to the 5th carbon of sugar, this phosphate group is attached and making it a nucleotide. Nucleotide can have 1, 2 or 3 phosphate groups attached at the C5' position, called nucleoside monophosphates, diphosphates and triphosphates respectively. So this is basically the structure of or the parts of a nucleotide. You can see that there is a sugar, pentose sugar. At the 5' carbon there is a phosphate group, and at the first carbon a nitrogenous base has been attached. Here it is an adenine. Okay. Now we come to the functions of nucleotides, primarily responsible for the formation of polynucleotides, which are nucleic acids of the cells, RNA and DNA. Polynucleotides are informational macromolecules which store, transmit and translate genetic information, help in formation of energy currency like ATP, GTP, etc., act as precursor for several important coenzymes such as NAD+, NADP+, FAD and coenzyme A, serve as a precursor for secondary messengers like cyclic AMP, CGMP, etc. Now we talk about the nomenclature of nucleosides and nucleotides. So here is a table which will summarize and make you understand how we name them accordingly. So when we are naming nucleosides in RNA, they are called adenosine, guanosine, cytidine, uridine. But when we are naming nucleosides in DNA, it's deoxyadenosine, deoxyguanosine, deoxycytidine and deoxythymidine. So there is thymidine in place of uridine. Now nucleotides in RNA, adenylate, guanylate, cytidylate, uridylate, but in DNA we have deoxyadenylate, deoxyguanylate and so on. Nucleoside monophosphates are AMP, adenosine monophosphate, adenosine diphosphate, adenosine triphosphate and so on for the other bases. So you can see that this is adenosine monophosphate. Monophosphate means single phosphate group is attached at the 5' carbon. So you can see here a single phosphate group is attached. Adenosine diphosphate, we have 2 phosphate groups attached, and adenosine triphosphate, we have 3 phosphate groups attached. So this is an end to this video. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it and it was informative. Next we are going to talk about structure of DNA. So let's see what actually James Watson and Francis Crick has contributed to the field of molecular biology that we are going to see in the upcoming video. So if you really like this video, please click on the like button, subscribe and share. Follow us on Instagram, and if you have any queries or suggestions, please write to us on the given email address. We are always welcome for all the suggestions, questions. Hope to see you soon again. Thank you.